wait for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Fraochknits podcast. This is episode number 24. My name is Anya and I'm coming to you from the west of Ireland, where I live and work and knit a lot, and you're so welcome here. Thank you so much for all your support and on my last video, and thanks to all the new subscribers, and very welcome, warm welcome to all the new people and all the people who keep coming back. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to interact with you all. I love all your comments, and thank you so much to all the supporters on Kofi as well. So my podcast name, in case you haven't been here before, is Fraochknits, and Fraoch is the Irish word for heather. And I live on the side of a mountain in the west, so we've got lots of heather surrounding us, and I adore the colour of it, the beautiful pink and green colour of heather when it's in bloom. Just to, I suppose, get started on this week's podcast. It's this month's podcast, sorry. So it's about 6 weeks, I think, since I last actually made a video, and there's just been so much going on. It's great to be back. I have a load to talk about. There's so much knitting going on because it's that time of the year. It's the real knitters time of the year, and I'm really looking forward to sharing all my knitting with you. So my podcast is mostly about knitting. Last time I introduced you to some of my sewing. I haven't done any sewing since then, because knitting is just much easier at this time of the year. I suppose it's cozying up time, and of course there's the MKAL, the Stephen West MKAL is on. So all of my time, all of my headspace is being taken up by the MKAL. And apart from all of the other knitting that I was doing before that, I really haven't gotten around to giving myself a space. I really need a whole day for sewing. Unlike knitting, where you can pick it up and put it back down again. But anyhow, my podcast, to get back on track, is mostly about knitting. And I do also do a section on Irish culture, folklore and mythology associated with wild plants and trees that are native to Ireland, which I absolutely love doing. And but if you're not interested in it, that's fine. It's going to be at the end, as usual, the end of the podcast. And today I'll be looking at the third chapter, if you like, my third part in the series that I've been doing on the Ogham letters and their meanings. So we've done 10 letters so far, and we'll do 5 today. Altogether there are 20, so we'll be 3/4 way through. And the ones that I'm going to be looking at today are all associated with the season of autumn, so it's quite appropriate that we're doing them now, looking at them now, and they're absolutely fascinating, really, really interesting. So hopefully you'll stick around for that if you're interested. So in terms of the knitting, I hope you've all been well since the last time I was talking to you, and you've been enjoying your knitting and crocheting and any other crafts, weaving or spinning or any of those things that you do. I know I have been thoroughly enjoying knitting since the beginning of September, really, since autumn started. It's just a great time of year for it all. So I'm going to just get straight into it and look at the my finished objects. So, oh, by the way, in case you're wondering what I'm wearing, you probably haven't seen this sweater before. This is a sweater that I knit 3 years ago now, actually. This was knit in 2021, and it's called the Goldwing sweater, and it's designed by Jennifer Steingas, and it's knit. This version is knit in Plutilopi, one strand of Plutilopi. I can't remember the cream colour is just their white, off-white colour, natural white, and I think Dark Woods. Yeah, it's Dark Woods is the name of the brown that I'm wearing. And I sort of had this sweater in storage, well, not in storage, but I had sort of put it away. I wasn't really wearing that much, and then I tried it on recently over my my studio tunic, which I'm wearing today, the thing that I sewed that I showed you the last time, and it goes really well. I love the brown and the gold colour together. And what's lovely about this sweater, I mean, I think one of the reasons I had sort of dismissed it or put it to one side is because it's actually a bit oversized. I did knit it a bit too big, but I love it. I love how lightweight it is. It's really light. I love how warm it is, and it looks brilliant over the studio tunic. So it's something that's sort of come back out into circulation again. And I do make more of an effort these days to try and wear, you know, just change up my jumpers. Sometimes I wear the same thing for a week because I just love it, but it's really nice just to change them around and give the ones that you haven't looked at in a while another bit of a go, because sometimes your mood will have changed or your clothes will have changed and the sweater might suit them. So yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. It's my finished object from 3 years ago. I can't actually believe it's been 3 years either since I did that. So I'm going to start off now with another finished object that's also a garment, which I should have showed you in the last podcast. So this is a sweater by Jessie Made Designs, not a sweater, a tank top, and it's the you all know what this is called. I've forgotten, I've written it down, so I just have to look at my notes. The mini mock neck tank, of course. It's the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Made Designs. Have I got it the right way around, or is that the front? I think that's the front actually, because the seams I think hang slightly lower on the back, and it is knit in Pearl Soho's linen quill in the red poppy colour, and this was finished in July, I think. So that yarn, as you probably know, is a mix of alpaca and wool and linen. So you can see the linen in this coming out really, really beautifully in the white flecks. So this is a fabulous top, which I wore during the summer months. I think I finished it in about June or July after the last podcast, and I mean the one in June that I did, and it was brilliant in the summertime, and I haven't really worn it since. So I'm just trying to figure out how to wear it, just what to wear on top of it, as a cardigan or something over it. I don't really have anything, or at least I haven't figured out a way to incorporate it into my sort of autumnal and winter wardrobe. But the funny thing about the yarn is it's actually really warm because it's got alpaca in it. So there were some summer days when I was wearing it that it was a little bit too warm, but still it's Ireland, so like you step out into the wind and you know it's freezing, so no matter what time of the year it is, the wind cools you down. So to have no sleeves at all on sometimes is too cold in the summer, so this is really good because you've got the warmth of the wool and the alpaca. So that is my first finished object. It's a really, really stunning design by Jessie Made Designs, and really easy to knit, and it was Stacey Elstone, I think, I forget the name of her podcast now. Anyway, really, really lovely podcaster from the States who was knitting a whole load of these, and she gave me the inspiration to knit it. So that's my mini mock neck tank I highly recommend the pattern. It knit up in no time at all. I mean, it was a fairly small needle, maybe a 3.5mm, I can't quite remember. But it is a really stunning, simple mock neck tank. So that's my first finished object. And then my next series of finished objects are these guys here. So these are my collection of Stoneknits socks, and these were knit in starting in on the 15th of September, I think. Did I start? I was looking at my knitting diary there. It was the middle of September, so it's about a month ago that I started knitting these, and I decided to buy, there was a special offer on the patterns. I think I got 6 patterns for the price of 4, which is incredibly good value. And I mean, it worked out at about 3 or 4 euros, I think, or something per pattern, which is really good. And there's loads of information in the patterns about increasing and decreasing to accommodate for the colour work in the socks, and also yeah, just how to knit colour work at a small circumference. So this set me out on a whole journey of yeah, knitting colourwork socks that I have knit a few before, but it's just refining the whole art of knitting colourwork socks with the help of the fabulous patterns by Stoneknits. And all of the yarns that I knit these from are they were all in my stash, so I was making a big effort to use what I had, not to buy any more yarn, which I didn't need to. I mean, I have a load of, I suppose I have a load of fingering weight, but a lot of it would be wool that's not suitable for socks, so that was the only thing. So I had to be sort of creative about how I manage that, but I'll talk to you about that in a second. So there are, I knit, as you can see, 5 individual socks. I chose 6 patterns, so there's one that I haven't knit yet, which is the Cardigan cats socks, so still have to get around to that. But these were knit, I decided what I would do was knit 1 of each and then go back and knit them all again. So I actually have started on 2 of the designs for the pairs, and my idea behind that was that I would avoid the dreaded second sock syndrome of getting really bored with having to go back and start the same pattern over again a second time immediately. So really good for my sort of monkey mind, you know, darting all over the place, not wanting to settle into something. So it's actually, knitting socks is a really good sort of Zen practice, I think, because you just gotta, you know, stick with the same thing and get into the moment with it. But anyway, this is what I was doing, and so I had great fun knitting these socks. After the first one, I'm trying to remember, I think, oh yeah, this was the first one. So this one, I'll give you the names of them now. This one is called the Forever Autumn Socks. And this is knit using, so these were, this blue yarn is absolutely beautiful. It's Pasquale Pinta, I think it's called. It's a Peruvian yarn. I'm going to forget now what the combination of fibres is, but I think there's wool and silk and nylon in there. So that's especially, it is suitable for socks. And that was given to me by my lovely Dutch friend Annemieke. So thank you, Annemieke, if you're watching this. Your beautiful yarn has become absolutely stunning socks, and these are, it's really silky, soft, perfect, durable yarn for socks. And then the other beautiful colourway there is, I have, what did I have some of the Pasquale Pinta. Here it is, look beside me. That's the yarn there. So I have another skein of that. So for the one sock, I'd say I'll probably only use a 50 gram for the colourwork pair, possibly, for a size, what size do I take? 39 European size, 6 UK size. This is the yarn, which is, let's see, it's got, oh, I remember, this actually doesn't have nylon. It's a purely natural mix with rami in it. So rami is nettle fibre and silk and durable organic merino. So these are super natural socks, a natural sock yarn. So the rami fibre, the nettle fibre, gives it the strength that the nylon would normally give it. So that's why it's so gorgeous. The feel of it is so gorgeous, actually. you can tell that it's all natural fibres. There isn't that sort of, sometimes some of the yarns with nylon, I try to avoid nylon, that's why I have a load of fingering weight that doesn't have any nylon in it and isn't suitable for socks. But I do try and avoid it because, okay, it's also because it's not a natural fibre, so it doesn't break down and it's harmful to the environment. But actually the other reason is because it just doesn't feel great, or it makes my feet sweat, or I don't really like I definitely feel more clogged wearing in the shoe, wearing a sock with nylon in it. There's less breathability in it. And I could definitely feel that, I'm sensitive to that. So this is a really, really good alternative yarn. Pasquale Pinta, let's see, is there any colour on this now to give you an idea? The colour is 109, it's a beautiful teal colour. This yarn then I bought when I was on holidays earlier on in the year, in February, when I was over in Malaga. And or at least I flew into Malaga. We were about an hour east of that in near Granada. And this I bought in a shop in Granada, and it's called Yanana. I think it's, no, Tanana yarns, Tanana. And this is pure merino singles, which I absolutely adore, and the colourway is curry, hand-dyed yarn, and I just couldn't resist putting these two together. And in the autumn, because this is Forever Autumn, it's a perfect combination, I thought, for the autumn leaves. They look like little, leaves that have fallen off a maple tree or a sycamore tree or something. And but this yarn is actually not durable, so it's merino singles, so it's a crazy idea, but I couldn't resist it. And then I thought, oh, I know what I can do. I posted this on my Instagram, so anybody who follows me on Instagram will know that I was thinking of doing duplicate stitch in all of the leaves that are likely to get worn because they're on the sole of the sock, but I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. But it's interesting that I was thinking of doing that because actually in one of her other patterns she uses duplicate stitch to, and this one here in the what's it called, flamboyant flamingo socks, she uses duplicate stitch to pick out the or to highlight the beak and the eye of the flamingos. So I haven't done that yet either, but it's interesting that I hadn't read that pattern, so it was independently that I came up with this idea of doing the duplicate stitch, which there are loads of videos on the internet for, so it looks straightforward enough, maybe a little bit like embroidery. I'm looking forward to trying that out when I give myself a chance to get around to that. I'll stop knitting socks and shawls and other things that are getting in the way in the meantime. My life has just been taken over by all this knitting, so which is a good thing. It's very good. So they're the Forever Autumn socks. Oh yeah, so I knew what I was starting to tell you something about these that I completely forgot. I got caught up in all of the other details. But so what happened with these was I noticed that I was getting this gap down the centre of the sock. I don't know if you can see that, which is where the magic loop was causing a gap where the floats on the back are visible because of the magic loop not being able to get them tight enough. So you can sort of see that on both sides of the sock. Now that I look at it, it doesn't look terribly bad. I think it's worse there at the turn of the heel and there. And I thought to myself there must be a way of avoiding this, and the magic loop was driving me mad. So I decided I would buy a set of 9-inch circular needles, which I hadn't used before, I hadn't tried out before in socks. My sister-in-law had showed me them before. I think I might have tried them briefly in her house, and I wasn't really impressed at the time, but this really was another, I suppose, motivation for me to try them. So I ordered them online. I got them from a lovely shop in Belfast called Hank's Yarn Parlour. So I can highly recommend ordering if you're living in the south of Ireland and you don't want to order from the UK because of customs duties. Sorry everybody in the UK, I know this is terrible that I don't order so much anymore from businesses in the UK, unless there's some sort of special deal that can manage customs. I mean the shipping is usually good value, but the customs cost on top of that is crazy. So but in the north of Ireland they do have a way of getting around that because they're still considered, I think, in some way to be part of the EU. I don't know how that is I don't know the details of that at the moment for businesses, but I had heard that they could ship stuff without customs charges. So there is this fabulous Hanks Yarn Parlour who ship to the south of Ireland, and the shipping was about £5 or €5. It was very little, which is what it should be because we're on the same island. So yeah, and no customs charge. So that was absolutely brilliant, and they arrived really quickly. And they were the only yarn shop in Ireland, on the island of Ireland, that had 9-inch circulars in a 2.25mm size. I tried every other shop. There's a good few yarn shops now, but some of them do stock them, but they just were out of them. And some of them stocked brands that don't do the 2.25mm. Like I think Addy needles don't do them. I got the Chow Goose, which obviously are the most expensive, that I wouldn't necessarily have gone for, but for the fact that they had the size I was looking for, which is a 2.25. So I got a 2.25 and a 2.5mm, and I used both in these socks. So 2.25 for the rib and 2.5 for the whole of the rest of the sock. Now I know that, I hope I'm not giving anything away here, but the Stoneknits patterns advised to go up and back down again in size for when you move away from colour work, to go back down to the smaller needle size, and I actually found that it was too tight. I tried to get them over my heel when I had reached this point here, and I figured if I was going to go... Hi again everybody. I'm just going to finish off where I was cut off there a few minutes ago, talking to you a little bit about my socks. I'm almost finished telling you about them. So yeah, they were just such fun to knit actually, and I've learned a load about the whole idea of managing small circumference colour work. So these ones are called the Magic Toadstools, and I've talked to you about the yarns that are in those. In that one, this is the Forever Autumn. This one is the what is it? Not Bright Flamingo. Bright Flamingo is actually the name of the pink, which is a Pearl Soho yarn, and when I saw the socks, the design for them, I thought, oh, I have the perfect yarn in stash. I have a little bit of that left still from the time that I knit a half and half triangles wrap a few years ago, so which my son still uses actually as a blanket, which he takes everywhere with him. So that's Bright Flamingo. These are called the Flamboyant Flamingo socks, and I still have to do the duplicate stitch for the beaks and the eyes. So the gorgeous tealy sort of turquoisey colour is a combination of a silk mohair and a what's it called? This is a lace weight yarn, pure wool yarn actually, from Galway sheep. The basic yarn here, and it is from Cushendale Woolen Mills, and it's a discontinued colour, so I only have a tiny bit of that left, and I thought it would do for the two socks, but actually it's not going to be enough. I'm holding that double with silk mohair in order to give it strength, and the silk mohair is also a tiny bit that I have left over from it's Tussock from Pearl Soho that I bought years ago when it was on sale. So those two yarns, I have only enough left. I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to knit the pair of this sock, but actually what I'm going to do is just reverse the colours. So I have plenty of the pink flamingo left, so I'll do the pink flamingo colour on the sock, and for the colour work then I'll use the turquoise colour, and I'll get away with that. These are stunning. I just love this design. She's a really good designer, and I just love all her gorgeous colour work socks. So I'm really happy with these. They fit really well too. That's the Shadow Wrap Short Row Heel. I started to tell you that I use mostly the Shadow Wrap Short Row Heel, and sometimes the sock will call for the standard heel flap and gusset, and you can just ignore that and do whatever type of heel you want, which is what I did in that one. And then I also knit these ones which are called the Field of Sunflowers, I think. And again, these are all over colour work, knit with my lovely new needles, my 9-inch circulars. And again, this is using the same skein of yarn. The brown yarn here is the same. It's this Lang Yarns sock yarn, and the colour work on these is a ball of hand-dyed 75-25 merino nylon that I bought from at the Doolin Yarn Festival last October, and it's hand-dyed by oh, let me see if I can remember her name. Sorry, it's terrible now. I'll remember it in a few minutes if I try not to think about it. And Fine Leaf Fibres is the name of her. Fine Leaf Fibres, and the name of the yarn is Maple Leaves, actually, so it's a real autumn colour. And that's going to appear again in this podcast in another project. So here's me using up all of my lovely stash of yarns. Now this sock here is actually my favourite design. It's not necessarily my favourite results because I ended up using a sport weight yarn for this is called the Radishes sock. So for the Radishes, my sport weight actually on the larger needle size that you have to go up to to cater for the tighter gauge on the colour work in the small circumference. So that sport weight yarn actually threw that out. I didn't need to go up with a needle size. I could have knit on the 2.25mm for that section. So I'm probably going to rip that back down and re-knit it because it's too wide at the top. But it is my favourite design, and it's my favourite combination of colours in the socks that I've knit, even though I love all of them. But I really adore this combination. So this purple yarn here is the Pasquale Pinta in the purple colour, and the sport weight yarn is a what's it called, Old Centrum, and I think that's the Fallow Red in the Old Centrum. This beautiful cream yarn is a Garthenor organic sock yarn. Absolutely stunning. I have 50 grams of it and it's so precious. I got it in Wales, I think summer before last. And then the other one is a Exmoor sock of Madod. It's a leftover, tiny leftover bit that I had of that. So the great thing about these colourwork socks is you can have really small bits of yarn left over. And as I said, for up here, it doesn't really matter if it's not sock yarn, you know, if the bits are sort of don't have nylon or whatever in them. So yeah, I'm going to just re-knit the top of that and obviously knit the second sock to go with that. And with this one I decided actually to go and do the heel flap and gusset, which I haven't done for years because the first time I tried it I thought, oh, it's such an awful lot of work. Like compared to doing shadow wrap short row heel, there's an awful lot more involved in it. And I thought, no, it'd be a good idea just to try it out again and see how it fits. And the fit is really, really beautiful. Like it does fit really nicely. And it was good just to try it again and to remind myself of the technique and to realise now that actually after, like I think when I tried it out I had probably only really started knitting again, and now it seems actually quite straightforward for me to follow the instructions and to pick up stitches. I think the picking up stitches at the time was new for me. So picking up the stitches along the heel flap for the gusset section, oh, I thought that was so hard the first time I did it, and I thought, you know, never again, and so I've come back to it. So you do have this gorgeous, you know, gentle increase. It looks really beautiful actually on the sock in this yarn, which has silk in it, so gorgeous. And this has the nettle, so this is rami, silk and wool, merino. So what a fabulous design, so cute, isn't it? It's just gorgeous with the radishes growing up out of the ground. So what a beautiful design. I really like that. I'd like to knit more. I think there's another design actually which I'd like to knit, which has, you know, the stalks coming up out of the ground. Just it's the carrots actually, which I think are coming in the book but weren't on sale on Ravelry when I was buying these because I would have bought them. But I think they're in the book. The funny thing about the book is I did consider buying her book, but then when I looked in her first book there was only one pair of socks I think that I really liked that I would have knit. So it was actually better. I think I spent as much on patterns as I would have on the book, but I ended up getting the socks that I really like, the sock designs that I really like. So there you go. There are my Stoneknits collection. I'm really happy with all of those, so highly recommend. Just have to go back into the second ones of all of those, but they're quick enough to knit and they're so easy, really, they're easy to knit. So, oh yeah, I was actually going to tell you a little bit, sorry to go back to our toadstools thing. I'm going to put up a picture here of the toadstool that I found when I was out walking with a group in a forest down in County Laois called the Glenbarrow Woods. If you're in Ireland, I highly recommend going there. It's a fabulous walk through native woodland. It's a mix of native and coniferous plantation. And there's a river running through it. It's part of the Slieve Bloom Way, and it's absolutely magical. It's really, really beautiful. So I went there a couple of weeks ago with my sister and a friend of hers, and anybody who's on Instagram will have seen some of the photographs already, but it was such a fabulous day. It was a really beautiful autumn day, and so the day included, it was led by Rachel, the Wandering Yogi. I'll put her contact details here as well. She does fantastic days out where she brings a group walking and does a yoga session and wild swimming, and sometimes also we also had essential oils, and we had a little meditation section by one of the like literally in the middle of the water, the river. There were rocks, dry rocks that we could actually sit out on, and the sound of the water was just, she didn't even need to to meditate. All you had to do is close your eyes and listen to the water. It was really, really beautiful. And we did some yoga, and we went swimming in the freezing cold river. So but it was really just a beautiful day. And at the beginning of the walk, I said to Rachel, have you seen any mushrooms in the forest, because it's autumn time? And I mentioned fly agaric. It was one of the mushrooms I mentioned. For some reason, I think I had been looking at them online recently. I was probably, actually, I know why, because I was knitting these socks. So I was looking at YouTube videos about this type of mushroom, which is called a fly agaric, and that was the first time I had come across that term, Amanita muscaria, the Latin. And so when we were on the walk, I said, are there any fly agarics on the walk, or have you seen any? And she said no, she hadn't seen any of those. And I was asking about chanterelles maybe as well, in case we wanted to, because we could have eaten those ones. And she had seen chanterelles, but she hadn't seen the fly agarics, which are poisonous, obviously, in case you don't know that already, so don't eat them, but if you find them. But we found one, and it's actually the first one that I've ever seen. I've never seen them before. They grow near birch trees, or pine trees apparently as well, so lots of pine trees around. I didn't see any birches, but we saw a perfect example of one, so I'll put up a photograph. And I just went and read up then for you a little bit of information on what Niall McCutcher says about these things in Irish folklore. So, I mean, he doesn't tell me much new in a way about the fly agaric or how it was treated necessarily or looked at in Ireland, but just in general about mushrooms. He has a lovely little section. And it's interesting, he has a plant book, so it's just, he has 4 books altogether, one on trees, one on plants, one on birds, and one on animals. So, but fungi are another kingdom altogether. So you've got the plant kingdom, and then you've got the animal kingdom, and fungi are a separate kingdom. So they're not really plants, but he has them in his plant book anyway. Which is amazing that he hasn't done a whole book, which would be great to see if he could do a whole book on mushrooms or on fungi. So he says that the fly agaric, the Irish word for it is the agaric quilloga. Quilloga is the word for a fly. Agaric, I looked that up as well. The word agaric means mushroom, which I didn't know. It's another word for a mushroom. And that was news to me as well. Anyway, it's very interesting to hear that. And of course, Amanita muscaria. Musca is Latin for fly. So, and Amanita is I think the grouping that they're in botanically. So, so anyway, he just tells a little bit about mushrooms and how they were seen and how they were viewed in Ireland traditionally. And of course they were associated with the fairies, so especially the leprechauns or the fairy shoemaker. So then I had to check what is the origin of the word leprechaun, which I've never thought about before either. And it comes from the Old Irish word lú corpán, and lú means little in Old Irish, and corpán is body of the body, from the Latin corpus. So lú corpán, little-bodied, so it's a small man basically, a small-bodied man. And the leprechaun was often said to be glimpsed flitting through woodland or sitting on a mushroom or a toadstool smoking his pipe. And one of the notable features of many of the mushrooms and fungi here in this part of the world anyway is that they form these large rings as they grow, and the rings grow as they grow outwards like the rings of a tree, this is something that I remember seeing as a child actually. So I do remember seeing mushrooms, but there were field mushrooms. I think I forget the name. Is it agaric campestris or something? Field mushrooms, and these are the most commonly eaten in Ireland, or known about, or trusted. And so these were ones that we would have seen in the fields early in the morning, and this is before the fields started to be over fertilised and treated, and we really don't have those. I don't see them anymore anyway, or that they're not as easily come across. But they were when I was a child, and they would be in circles and in rings growing in the field, and you could see them even without seeing the mushroom. You could see a darker colour of grass growing in a circle, and that would tell you that's where the mushrooms were growing. And there is a type of mushroom called a fairy ring mushroom, which and it was believed then as well in Britain and Ireland that fairy rings were used by the fairies to dance in, especially in the moonlight. So all these things are well-known stories. In Ireland it was said to be safe to walk through them, but it was unlucky to walk around them, because that was the path that the fairies took themselves. And in Scotland it was considered unlucky to sleep in them or to be found in them after the sunset. So the fly agaric then, he just gives you, Niall McCutcheon gives a little bit of information on this particular mushroom, and of course it's the one with the red cap and the flecked white dots, and it's this typical image of a mushroom that we see in children's fairy stories and illustrations in books, often with an elf or a leprechaun sitting on the top. And it's notorious for its hallucinogenic properties and its related symptoms of sickness and diarrhea. So it's poisonous but not, because you can actually soak it, and people apparently used to soak it in milk and to reduce its poisonous properties and make it suitable for actually consumption and therefore use as a hallucinogenic. The name fly agaric apparently comes from the fact that when people were soaking it, flies would be found dead in the milk or whatever was used to soak the mushroom in, because the poison from the mushroom had come into the liquid. So that's why it's called fly agaric. So it's a poisonous mushroom, but it was also it was in Siberia actually that it was used as a way of for shamanistic purposes, and for experiencing other realms and other worlds, and it was used. It was said that even to drink the urine of the person who had consumed one of these mushrooms would give you this, would have inebriating qualities. So this was a practice as well, was to drink the urine. And in some languages today, the term for getting drunk literally means becoming be-mushroomed. So I don't know if any of you out there have a language that uses that. Neil McCutcheon doesn't tell us which languages they are. And of course it's used in the phrase to get pissed, which comes from this custom apparently to get pissed. Now in Ireland we say, when you say you're pissed, it means that you're drunk, not that you're pissed off. We say pissed off for upset. I know in America I think it's you use pissed to mean not happy. But anyway, so yeah, this is it. This is where apparently this word comes from, to get pissed. So really interesting. Another aside, sorry I'm going off on a tangent here altogether from, I know I should be showing you my fairy ring socks, which I've lost. They're in my right hand. But yeah, so another lovely thing that I came across in a book by Malcolm McGann was the origin of the word for fairy, and this connects with the fact that we were doing yoga in the woodland that we found the fairy mushroom in, because he says that the origin of the word she, S-I-D-H-E, which is the Irish word for fairy, is derives from the same Indo-European root as the Sanskrit Siddha Yogini. Yogini means a female master of yoga, and Siddha refers to an enlightened individual who has attained a higher state of spiritual consciousness. So she, coming from Siddha, from the Sanskrit Siddha, meaning this being that's attained a higher level of spiritual consciousness. So how incredible is that? And that Siddha Yogini is that person, is that the female master of the yoga. So yeah, it's anyway, it's just a thought that all of those things are combining in the forest that day. And in Ireland, the she are the fairies, who are supposed to appear around the mushrooms, and who are to be respected at all times. You know, and you don't walk in their path, and you don't upset the fairies. They're said to be the remnants of either pagan gods or nature spirits, but also they're thought by some to be the lingering energetic resonances. These are the words of Malcolm McGann, of our more recent ancestors. So lingering energetic resonances of our more recent ancestors. Hello everyone again, and I'm going to be talking to you now quickly about my second last project that I have to talk to you about today, my second last whip, and this is the only garment that I've actually got on the needles at the moment. And when I took it out, I'd forgotten how far I'd come with this. Before I started knitting socks in September, I was knitting this. So this is the use of this beautiful Seriatog for 3-ply held double with the what's called silk mohair. That was giving me the 15 stitch gauge that I tried to knit the November knits. I forget the name of the pattern now, earlier on this year. That didn't work out. So I'm using that yarn again. I frogged the other sweater, and I'm using it to, it's the Ewan sweater actually that didn't work out. So I'm using it now to knit this fabulous, really gorgeous dropped sleeved, I hope I have enough light here for you to see this, a drop sleeved cardigan. See this gorgeous detail on the shoulder, and this is going to be obviously there's going to be another sleeve coming out here. I'm actually almost finished the first sleeve, and I've just have the button band to do and 2 little pockets at the front, so actually this isn't far off completion, and it goes up fairly quickly. But I do have to say that when I was knitting it, I was really craving colour, and that's why I decided to do all the colour work. I really wanted something on small needles and with a bit of detail and with some colour, and this was proven to be like a little bit boring actually after a while, but it's going to be a gorgeous garment to wear. I can't wait. I'm really delighted with how it's turning out, and it's a design, sorry I didn't tell you who designed it, so it's by My Favourite Things, and the name of the cardigan is cardigan number 8 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. And it's just a stunning cardigan pattern. I do have patterns. I do have cardigans, not too many of them, and I just thought that this was the best use of this, really sort of, because it comes out at a bulky weight. So nice to have a cardigan, I think, in a bulky weight yarn, because otherwise a jumper can be a bit too much maybe in this weight of yarn. Yeah, so that's how it's looking. Really, really beautiful across the back. A really, really stunning piece, and I am really looking forward to completing that one. I'm going to get straight into that once I've finished the MKAL. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about now, is the MKAL. And I'm going to show you very, very briefly my only finished MKAL project from 2022, which is this very, very famous, fabulous piece by, of course it's Stephen West, but it's called the Twists and Turns. And I made this one. I loved every minute of this. I know some people didn't really enjoy it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really, as you can see, it hasn't actually even been blocked, or at least I did block it lightly. This is still curling up at the edge. I loved this yarn from Life in the Long Grass, and I love the cables on it. Now this is made from stash, apart from that one skein of pink which I did buy in the middle of it, but I started off doing this from stash. So there's pearl Soho yarn there in the Blue Lagoon, I think it's called. It's a blue colour, and this is leftover Life in the Long Grass Hillside green, and a few other leftover. You can see there's a change in the pink where I ran out of the yarn I was using, and which I forget, I think it's hedgehog fibres, and that's it. And I really adore this section here where there's more cabling in the beautiful green yarn. So that is my very successful, and I didn't mind doing the first. This is the first MKAL I ever did, so it didn't really bother me, this first section, even though a lot of people really got tired with it and didn't really want to do, keep going, because it was an awful lot of knitting in the first section. But I really like it, and I have worn this quite a lot actually. I haven't worn it since last winter, so it's come back out of the drawer, or out of storage, and I'm going to have to wash it again just to freshen it up and make it ready for wearing for the winter. But it's certainly a design that I loved. I loved the whole process of the MKAL. I really got into it. And then last year I participated again, and I'm just going to show you what's left of last year's shawl. So I did actually finish it. This was called the I forget now, Geo Gradient, that's what it was. That's the middle section that I ended up doing, and these are the wings, which I absolutely hated. I really didn't like these at all, and I thought there was so much knitting involved, and to end up with such a tiny piece of fabric. I didn't like the fabric. I didn't like the overall. I felt these didn't really belong to all of this sort of stripy stuff, like the rest of the shawl, the sort of geometric rest of the shawl, and I didn't like it's terrible now, I'm telling you all the things I didn't like about that design. The dip stitches along the edge, I know lots of people made beautiful versions of it, and I know some people really like my version, but I thought it was okay for a while, and then I just realised I never picked it out, I never wore it. It didn't really do anything for me at all. So I just decided I really wanted to use the yarn again, and in the middle of the year I ripped it out to use the grey, which is called, this is all Life in the Long Grass, by the way, beautiful yarn. I can't remember the name of that grey colour, but I used that in another shawl, which I really love, I wear. So I wanted to continue to make use of the yarn. So I decided that this year I would I wasn't planning to do it at all, to be honest, because it was such a palaver last year and I didn't really like the result, and I just didn't think I was going to be doing it, and I just, as soon anyway as the first clue was being announced, I think it was a couple of days before the first clue, and I decided, okay, that's it, I'll just do it, because I was looking at other people. I was looking at Martin on Knit365 blog, so fantastic podcast, which is great fun. I love Martin and his antics, and yeah, so he really inspired me to just go for it again. And I thought, well, I'm not going to invest a whole lot of money in yarn, so I will make it out of the leftovers of last year's. Now, I don't know whether that was such a good idea, but anyway, I've started last year's. There were 4 different colours, so I don't have 200 grams of each colour, so I'm just going to have to I'm going to be using other yarns from my stash. So I'm using at the moment these 2 colours. So this is the Fine Leaf Fibres one, and this is the Life in the Long Grass. So these 2 together form the start of my shawl. I'll see if I can actually show it to you. I'll give you some sort of an idea of what it looks like. As it's actually, I'm in the middle of a row, so it's not great. So there you go. That's it. So I am reasonably oh, I'm absolutely delighted with the design. I love Stephen West's design this time around. It's fantastic. I'm not so keen on my colours, but I'm warming to them. I'm warming to them. They're growing on me. But I think I kept seeing all these really bright fluorescent, you know, Stephen Westy style colours, and was envious. This is the problem when you're doing this shawl or this knit along, is you see all these amazing colour combinations. You actually want all of them. And you sort of have to stick with what you've chosen to use, and you've really got to have faith in it. I think you've got to keep going and have faith in colours you've chosen and keep working on them. So I sort of have done that in one sense, in that I've kept going and I've moved on. Instead of doing the mohair there, because I have no mohair in the house, apart from half a ball of just white mohair. I don't have any colours, so it's not easy for me to get hold of yarn in this part of the world. So I'm using the gorgeous, what's it called, Pro Soho's linen quill that I used for the Jessie made mini mock neck tank, and that's going into my brioche. Now the brioche, I haven't got very far. I've got 2 rows done, and the reason is I've actually knitted 5 times. So that's crazy. I know I can knit brioche. I've knit brioche shawls before. I don't know what's going on. Well, I do know what the reason that I've knit it so many times is, because I started out with this colour here, which I thought would go really well with my terracotta, which is the curry, and but it was too much. I was finding the whole thing really just, I don't know, just really overbearingly sort of brown and yellow. And I tried then, I went for other colours that I had in my stash. This is a newly acquired piece of stash, this is new, but I tried a sort of a copper colour. I thought maybe like an oxidised copper would go with it, and it did look really well. But the problem is that it looked well with the brown, but not so much with the yellow. Didn't really go with the yellow. I tried using silk mohair paired with, I tried 3 different colours, and then I went on to using this, and I was pairing this with silk mohair, but it was too thick, and so then I thought, oh, I know what, just use this on its own. And so that's what I started doing, and I had to rip out twice, because I think I was doing this late at night, because I had finally decided that this was the colour I was going to use. I had to rip it out last night and start again. So I got this. The setup rows is actually the trickiest thing to do in brioche, because you have to really concentrate, and there's 365 stitches actually to concentrate on, and I don't think I've ever knit that many. I don't think I've ever knit that length in brioche before. And I picked it up again this morning, and there were mistakes where I had put 2 of the same type of stitch, instead of doing, like, I'd done 2 yarn overs after each other, or 2 purls after each other, and I don't know how to fix that actually. So that's my problem with brioche. I don't know how to fix it without ripping the whole lot out. I ended up, and I tried to fix it, I tried to shimmy the stitches around a bit, and nothing would work, so I ended up ripping it out. And so this morning I said, okay, that's it now, focus. So at least I was doing it in the morning with a bright mind, and I was able to get it right. So I'm on to the second row. All is good. I have the right number of stitches. There's no mistakes. And once you're set up, you just follow with what's on your needles. It's easy then. It's that first set up row that is tricky. So I'm actually delighted with the way, I don't know if the light is good enough in here now for you to see this, but with the way that's actually looking, it looks really nice. The red is picking up, the linen quill is picking up the red in the variegated yarn, which means that it's all hanging together much more so than this, this was too strong or something. I might use this later on in the shawl, I'll probably have to, but yeah, so that's where I'm going. So when I run out of the terracotta, I'm moving on to this, which is Another Life in the Long Grass, a slightly different shade. And I'm hoping that that's going to work okay as a main colour. Halcyon, is it Halcyon? I forget the name of it. It's terrible, I should remember the names of those. And that's where I am with that. So that was so far so good. I love the design of all of these circles that I don't even mind the whole process of having to put them all together and knit the three semicircles separately. I know some people are a bit like not happy with that. I love the bubbles. I've never done bubble stitches before. Really love this sort of really curvy look to the shawl this year. It's much more my sort of thing than geometric, you know, than sort of, you know, sharp lines. I love curves. So that's really cool. So anyway, I decided that at one stage last week I wasn't happy with the colours, that I should just, because I like the design, so I thought I have faith in this design now, I think I will invest. And I hadn't bought fingering weight yarn in a while, so I went online to Life in the Long Grass and I picked out a few yarns. So I have this gorgeous colour here. So this is real Stephen West, bright colours and crazy variegated contrasting colour. But I couldn't get 2 of each of these, or at least I probably could have got 2 of this one but not this one. And then by the time I had decided what colours I was using, because I was initially going to go with this gorgeous, these 2 colours together, I actually started knitting with these, but this one is a much lighter fingering weight, and it was funny, with this is 366 meters and this is 425 meters, so it's big enough difference in gauge, so they weren't working together. So then I started working with these. And this all came from my sort of starting point for colours were the 2 mohairs that I actually have in my stash. So I said I had no mohair. I do. I have these 2, and I got these during the summer in Bantry Yarns. So my yarn shop, my local yarn shop, supporting Day down in Bantry. Fabulous. This is Hedgehog Fibres, Purple Rain, and this is Ullen, and I forget what it's called, what the colour is called. So I'll show you where I'm at with this. I've actually knit the first 3 semicircles and I absolutely love the effect. So it's a completely different vibe to my autumnal colours. It's this real crazy Stephen West colour scheme, which, you know, I mean, I think it does suit his designs to do something a bit mad, so that's where I'm at. And we'll see how I get on. I will be using this as a main colour as well, and possibly I had another skein out there that I was going to include. I may even include this. We'll see how I get on. And of course I've got the 2 mohairs. This is definitely going to be my mohair there for the first brioche section. So that's going to be going in really, really nicely with this purple colour, really deep purple. So yeah, I'm doing tons of knitting, as you can see, and really enjoying it all. But fair play to Stephen, he's really pulled it out of the bag this time. It's a fantastic design so far, fingers crossed. I love the second clue as well, just acres of brioche and bubbles and all sorts of gorgeous stuff. So yeah, well done to Stephen, really like his design. And that is it for the moment. I am going to leave it there. I may not be able to continue recording this evening. I might have to finish this off in the morning because the light is really going, and I wanted to talk to you more about the cultural heritage part of my podcast. And but for those of you who are happy enough to sit out the knitting section, thanks a million if you've made it this far through the video. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you're enjoying your knitting as much as I am at the moment, or you're crocheting or sewing or whatever crafting you're doing. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying these lovely days of darker days and nice autumnal weather and golden leaves, and yeah, blustery days. So thanks a million for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell, actually, because I know myself that I've lost track of a couple of podcasts I used to watch because I have no notifications switched on. So switch on the notifications and you'll see my videos when they come up immediately. And yeah, thanks a million for watching. Thanks to all the Kofi supporters. I really appreciate your support, and it really does make this podcast possible. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you in the next section if you're going to come along with me. Okay, thanks, bye. Hi everybody, it's great to be back with you again. This is the next day now, it's Monday the 14th of October, and I ran out of light last night when I was filming the podcast, and I'm running out of it again tonight. It's really that time of the year. It is now about What time is it actually? I'll just check the time. It's about 7 o'clock. It's 7:15, and I think in 15 minutes I'm going to lose the light. So hopefully there's enough now for you to see. And if you hear any background noises, Ruben is here. He's watching a video. He was playing a video game, so I asked that he stop because the clicking was really loud. So anyway, I'm here to tell you about the Ogham alphabet. So for those who haven't been here before, on some of my previous videos I've done a little look at the letter names of the Ogham alphabet. So what is the alphabet? It is an ancient Irish tree alphabet, which means that it was a special way of writing on stone, inscribing on the corner of a stone, and also they think on wood and sticks. And it's the language that the alphabet was used for is Old Irish, so it is an ancient script. Nobody really knows how old it is, but there is information that was handed down in the annals, probably written down by monks in the Christian era, and yes, so it was the information about it is really just, we have very little information, and what we have is disputed by different scholars. But I am going by Neil McCutcheon, whose book I've talked about before, and it's Ireland's Trees, Myths, Legends and Folklore. And this is a fantastic book, so I highly recommend that you get a copy of it. He has 4 of them altogether. There's his plants book, Ireland's Wild Plants. So in the Trees book, he has a whole chapter, if not more than one chapter actually, on the Ogham alphabet. And in the past podcasts, I've looked at 10 of the letters, 5 in each one. So tonight we'll have a quick look at 5 of them, numbers 11 to 15. And so the alphabet is really interesting because each letter, the name of each letter is associated with a tree, and some scholars used to think that this wasn't actually true because the letters aren't directly the name of the tree. In some cases they are, as in the case of oak and hazel, they are directly called by the name of the tree, the letters are, but in some of them, and most of the ones we'll be looking at this evening, are not directly named for the name of the tree. So the scholars have argued back and forth about, well, what is the real meaning of the letter name and how is that associated with the tree. But Neil McCutcheon argues that all of them are associated with trees, even though a lot of modern scholars discount the association. But we know for me it's really clear that it is that the trees were revered. They were everything to the ancient Irish, to all ancient cultures. Understood trees and plants, and they were what helped humans survive, and we were part of much closer to being part of the ecosystem than we are now. We've become so separated from the natural world. But anyway, that's why I really love to delve back into the alphabet, because it reminds us how important the trees were to our ancestors and all of the uses they had for them. So with that, I'm going to actually also remind you that the alphabet is written in the order of the letters is written in order of the seasons. So the first 5 letters start in midwinter. So we're coming up to Samhain now, which is the 31st of October, Halloween, and it is the end of the year. So it's the end of the Celtic year. The Celtic year begins at the beginning of winter, which is the 1st of November. And so this is something I love to be reminded of, that when we're beginning we need to start off like a seed in the dark, and the winter is the darkness that germinates the seed, and then it springs forth in the springtime. So we need rest, we need quiet, we need dark, we need a contemplative time for our creativity to have space to grow, for new ideas to come to us, and it's essential for growth to have the rest before you actually start pushing outwards. So the first letter of the alphabet, Be, is birch, and that is placed at in midwinter, and then we move on through the letters. And the spring letters are the second set that I dealt with, the second 5, spring and summer, and then the set that I'm going to deal with today, the last 5 consonants, there are 15 consonants altogether, the last 5 consonants are autumn and moving into winter. So it's really appropriate that we talk about them for this particular podcast when we're approaching the end of the year and we're approaching, we're in the middle of autumn and approaching winter. So the first letter, number 11 in the alphabet, is Muin, M-U-I-N. That's its name, and it is associated with the buckthorn tree. It's one of the most controversial letter names, with no less than 4 different explanations for it. So there's 4 different meanings to that word, the word Muin. It can mean neck or upper part of the back, wile or deceit, love or esteem, and break or thicket. So it has all of these meanings, and there's been a lot of, if you read the book, McCutcheon goes into all of the possibilities that the name of the Ogham letter means one of these things, and he discounts all of them except for thicket. So he reckons that the word Ogham refers to the characteristics of the tree rather than the letter name. So the meaning of thicket is most likely one, which is a general arboreal meaning. So the specific tree is a tree known for its purgative properties of its bark and berries, and it was used since ancient times as medicine. And I think nearly all of the trees and that are associated with the letters in this particular grouping are associated with or had medicinal uses. All of them did, but certainly it seems to be more so in this grouping of 5. And it was widely valued in Ireland as a medicinal plant up to recent times apparently, which I didn't realise. And seasonally it's correctly placed as its fruits ripen in the autumn times. So the 12th letter then is Gort or Gort. It's G-O-R-T, and in Irish we pronounce an O much more like a U, so we say Togaboge, Togabug, so bug is B-O-G, take it handy, or bug means soft, a soft day, law bug. So Gort. Gort literally means field, and it is the Irish word for furze. Now we have the 13th letter means broom. So furze and broom, I was looking this up before I started podcasting and I didn't get a chance. It's getting too late. I'm worried about the light, so I'm going to explain the difference between those two another day, because I thought they were the same bush or tree, but they're very similar. Furze is another word for gorse or whin, and broom then is apparently another species of tree altogether. And these aren't really trees, they're more like shrubs, but because they can grow to about 6 foot, and they can grow to big wide girth as well, they do qualify as trees in this system of the alphabet, of the Ogham alphabet. So anyway, Gort, the Irish word for field. So we're looking for a tree that's associated with fields and the fertility and abundance of the land. And the furze or whin seems to be the most appropriate tree. It was traditionally seen not as a weed, which it tends to be seen as by farmers today, but it was seen as adding value to the land, and the presence of furze gave otherwise barren land some value, and on good land was considered as a boon. So because of its many uses, it was used as fodder and bedding for livestock, it was used as hedging and shelter in an open field, and one of the scholars is known to have said, in the extremest violence of winter, it affords both food and shelter. So it was cut in the autumn time, and it has an autumn placing in the Ogham alphabet. One of the 2 species of furze in Ireland, the western furze, actually does come into bloom in the autumn, so that's another reason why it's placed autumnally. So that is the 12th letter, Gort, meaning furze. The 13th one then means broom, or it's associated. It doesn't mean, these ones are, the meaning of the word, of the actual letter name is not the name of the tree. This is an association. Gort means field, but it's associated with furze. And then Geta, the 13th letter, doesn't mean broom, but it's associated with it. It actually means wounding or active wounding, and broom is has healing powers. So it's an ancient medicinal plant used to cure many ailments, and it's known for the effects it has on the circulatory system. Apparently, small doses slow the heart for a time before increasing the pulse and heartbeat, while large doses have a narcotic effect, lowering the blood pressure and slowing the heartbeat. So it's possible that broom could have been given to wounded patients who had lost a lot of blood in order to give them extra strength, or to heal them through sleeping. So it would either raise the blood pressure or lower it, depending on the dose given. As well as its medicinal uses, the sharp tips of broom branches and their ability to stab or prick you can be seen as a connection with their letter name as well. So broom was cut to make brooms. That's the reason it's called broom. That's where it gets its name in English. And its pliable branches have many other uses, such as making baskets and wicker fences. Broom and firs are very similar and were put to many of the same uses. The letter names Gert and Gettel and their associated trees can be taken as a pair according to McCutcher. So Gettel meaning wounding, and that association being with the tree broom, because broom has this medicinal power to heal the circulatory system, or heal through manipulating the circulatory system. Broom is the tree associated with that letter name, Gettel. The 14th letter then is Straph, which is associated with the blackthorn. Straph, the word literally means sulphur, and there are several properties of the blackthorn that can be likened to sulphur. The blackness of the branches and thorns, and sulphur is well known for its tarnishing effect on silver. So this blackness associated with sulphur, the tree, the black bark of the tree. Another is the bitterness of its fruit, which is parallel to the fiery burning sulphur, or brimstone. And the blackthorn is known mythologically as a fierce and warlike tree, so it fits well with the harsh reputation of brimstone. Seasonally, it's well placed as its fruits ripen in late autumn. So Straph, meaning sulphur, associated with the blackthorn tree because of its properties. 15th letter then is Rus, R-U-I-S, and it's the elder tree. So the elderberries this time of the year are abundant. They're beautiful, beautiful dark purple berry, almost looking black, but when you squash them, the juice is purple. It's a stunning reddy purpley colour. So the meaning of the letter Rus is red or redness, especially apparently the connotation is the redness of the face or blushing, and the elder has a clear connection to this meaning, the elder tree. Since ancient times, elder flowers have been used as a cure for spots and blemishes, and the berries, when green, have been used as a salve for burns and scalds. In ancient Ireland, ripe elderberries were also used as a kind of rouge. So the berries are ripe at this time of the year, late autumn, and so it's perfectly placed seasonally. So the consonant series have now covered the whole seasonal year, and then we move on. In the next episode, I'll talk to you about the vowels. The vowels are the last 5 letters. So I think I said at the beginning there, the first tree, birch, it's at the beginning of the year. Midwinter, so the first 5 letters go from midwinter to May, the second 5 go from May to September, and the third 5, which we've just looked at there, go from autumn to midwinter. And for the vowels, so the next 5 letters are all vowels, and each vowel covers a different season. So absolutely fascinating, really, really interesting. There are other little nuances. The word for the first letter, which is ba, is a tree of beginnings, renewal. This is what it's associated with mythologically. Ba is beginnings, so it's the first letter of the alphabet. And the alphabet ends with the letter I for yew, the yew tree, idad, and which is the tree of death and afterlife, the afterlife. So you'll often see yew trees in graveyards. So many associations with the time of the year, with the seasons, with the trees. So all of these things were just part of life. They were so important to the ancient Irish and the Celts, and it's just so interesting to see this alphabet and to look into it a little bit more deeply. So that was a really quick run through. I hope that you've enjoyed that, and I'm really sorry we're running out of light. We're literally coming to this gorgeous liminal time of the year. The air is so beautiful, it's cooled down, and the light at this time of the evening is really ethereal, and you can really see why people thought that we were closer to the spirit world in when we approached Samhain. So I really hope that you all have a fantastic Halloween and Samhain, and I hope to be back with you soon after that with my next podcast. And thank you so much for watching and listening. It's been such a pleasure to be with you again, and happy knitting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, contribute to Kofi if you feel like it, and thank you for all those who've done so, and thanks for all your comments, and take care of yourselves now, and see you soon. I'm going to put a little bit of footage at the end here of a few of my walks in the woodlands last month in September. Okay, take care now. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.
Don't be a stranger in the night. Take a chance for some romance. Don't cover your eyes. Willow trees know you better than anyone else. It's time you let your guard down for someone like me. I'd say I'm settled and pretty calm. I don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. The sweetest red cheese I'd ever seen. You stand beside me in every dream. Angel goddess, you cover them all. Say, what can I do to get you to fall for someone like me? I'd say I'm settled and I'm pretty cold. I don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. It's most of all that deserves you. It's crucial that he deserves you. That he deserves you. Go with someone like me.